We're back in Ecclesiastes this week, series we're calling What's This Life For? And we're going to finish out the first book of Ecclesiastes, so it's only taken us 3 weeks to get through the first book. I say that somewhat sarcastically, but it's been good to set up the whole thing by doing this. We're starting looking at Solomon's search for purpose and meaning here in Ecclesiastes 1, the second part of it. So we're going to read verses 12 through 18. I, the teacher, have been king over Israel and Jerusalem. I applied my mind to examine and explore through wisdom all that is done under heaven. God has given people this miserable task to keep them occupied. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun and have found everything to be futile, a pursuit of the wind. What is crooked cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. I said to myself, see, I have amassed wisdom far beyond all those who were over Jerusalem before me, and my mind has thoroughly grasped wisdom and knowledge. I applied my mind to know wisdom and knowledge, madness and folly. I learned that this too is a pursuit of the wind. For with much wisdom is much sorrow. As knowledge increases, grief increases. So Solomon's main thrust here is that he's tried a lot of different things, and especially wisdom, searching for meaning and wisdom. Please understand up front, I'm not telling you not to be smart. I'm not telling you not to pursue education. I'm not telling you not to learn things, all that kind of stuff. That's important. And sometimes, unfortunately, we come across like we're trying to keep people not from doing that, to keep people away from doing that in Christian circles. And that's not what Solomon's saying. That's not what I'm saying here tonight either. Called this message the chase. He's chasing after meaning and purpose, trying to find it in a lot of different things, and again, specifically in wisdom versus folly. Because of his position as king, Solomon spoke with a lot of authority. He identifies himself as king, and this gives him credibility. It gives him extra credibility to whatever it is that he says. He's king. He's in this high position. We're limited in our position. We're probably never going to achieve anything remotely along those same lines. Not that type of authority, not that type of power. But Solomon, because of his position as king, has extra credibility, has extra authority to what he says. He's king at one of Israel's greatest moments in history. He's reigning over the world's only superpower at that time. So he's one of the greatest kings in one of the greatest countries at one of the greatest times in all of history. Ecclesiastes 2:9, which we'll get into moving forward, says, he became great and surpassed all who were before me. He was incredibly awesome at what he did, incredibly powerful and popular. He speaks with authority. He speaks with what's called a chase technique. Not this, nor this, nor this, but this. He points to many areas that man searches for meaning and purpose in, trying to find meaning, trying to find solution. His conclusions are reliable. His conclusions are trustworthy because he's lived deeply. He's lived richly. So because of his position as king, he spoke with authority. Second thing here, because of his position as king, he was able to try it all. He was able to try everything. He has the freedom, he has the authority, he has the means, he has the resources to experience life deeper than most people, deeper than all of us, I'm sure. He's this billionaire playboy. He's this husband. He's this humanitarian, this benefactor, all these different things, politician, all these different things. He devotes himself to this specific quest, this specific task. He's trying to find a solution, trying to find what solves that gap, that hole, that vacuum inside of him. He says things like, I applied my mind. I have seen all things done under the sun. I have amassed wisdom far beyond those before me. What he's saying is he's tried it all, and his conclusion is that none of it satisfies. It's chasing after the wind. Just when you think you've grabbed it, it slips away. Try chasing after the wind sometime. It's not going to get you very far. He studied, he explored, he experienced everything, anything you could imagine to find purpose. And because he has the intelligence, the resources, the capability, the experience, he's able to search it all. So that's the second thing. The third thing, Solomon tried wisdom and foolishness alike. His pursuit of wisdom, his pursuit of knowledge, his education, his intelligence is legendary. He studied wisdom and knowledge, but he also studied madness and folly alike. He concluded that it all brings sorrow and grief. Yes, there's advantages to wisdom. Yes, there's advantages to knowledge. Get a better degree, get a better job, make more money, all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, the same fate eventually finds us all, whether we're chasing wisdom, whether we're chasing folly. In the end, both the fool and the wise wind up in the grave. Education and degrees by themselves don't produce more contentment, more morality, more fulfillment. It leads to, in many ways, a new way to rebel because we learn more and we find out more ways to do it. And in the end, dead is dead. Whether you're a dummy or a genius, you're in the grave, you're equally dead. The answer to man's striving is not the pursuit of knowledge. So he tried wisdom and foolishness alike. And as he concludes over and over again throughout this book of Ecclesiastes, all his effort was unsuccessful and frustrating. Again, chasing after the wind. That's a pursuit you will never arrive at, and it's something that will leave you frustrated in the end. Try chasing the wind for half an hour, see if it gets you anywhere. It's more like herding cats. It's frustrating. This world has problems we'll never be able to fix, never be able to eliminate. He says, what's crooked cannot be made straight, things like that. We can accomplish some good things, but issues still persist until God deals with sin once and for all eternally. There's things that will always be difficult, and no amount of human knowledge, no amount of effort can be the ultimate answer to life's issues. We can't change a lot of the things that we really want to change, which is something that he reiterates in chapter 7, verse 13, and something that comes from the fall in Genesis and the brokenness of creation. Romans 8 talks about creation groaning. It's trying to get back to the position that it was once in. It's trying to restore itself. No self-help, no quick fix helps us arrive. Without God, wisdom is never satisfying. So what does this mean for us? Let me give you a couple of applications here. First is this: we need a huge view of God. What do I mean by that? We need to quit trying to fit God into our finite views, into our little boxes. He's far above what we can imagine. He's far above what we can dream of. Wisdom only satisfies when we know God personally, when we know his wisdom personally through Jesus Christ. We can't learn it without walking with God. So we need to pursue what God has for us and be willing to tell others what they seek after. Only in Christ will we find the rest that our hearts seek for. Augustine said that. You have made us restless, O Lord. Our hearts find their rest in you. Jesus doesn't end our pursuit of wisdom. He fulfills it with satisfaction and rest. We see the world as it is now, but it's not always going to be that way. What's crooked can and will be made straight, but not by us, not by Solomon, by a higher king, by a more superior king, Jesus. He can and will make those things straight. He came as flesh. He experienced life under the sun. He became that solution. He's the great high priest that we can draw near to, and we can find what we seek. So we need a huge view of God. And the second thing is that we need to remember that God is in control. He can straighten what's crooked. He can fix what's broken. He's in control. We want to be in control, but that doesn't usually end well, does it? He's in control. We tend to wind up frustrated. We tend to wind up anxious. We tend to wind up angry. We tend to wind up just absolutely frustrated when we try to take control. If we try to make circumstances fit our own liking, and if our hope of satisfaction lies in that, we're bound to fail. So ultimately, we need to take our eyes off of the things of this world. And that's our problem a lot of times, is we're so focused on the narrowness of our current situation and the things of this world. Make your plans, yes, but trust in God ultimately. And there's a ton of scriptures that deal with that, from Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 through a ton of scriptures throughout the Bible. Solomon's wisdom was legendary. His pursuit of wisdom was legendary. Education, wisdom, knowledge. But the more he learned, the less fulfilled he felt. And that's still true today, by the way. People chasing after fame and fortune, people chasing after degrees in education, people chasing after family, people chasing after climbing the corporate ladder. They're unfulfilled. Solomon tried to live the right way, wisdom. He tried to live the wrong way, folly. And he found neither satisfied. In this writing, in this book, he wants to create a hunger for something better, to push us towards that better, to push us towards faith, to push us towards contentment in God, to push us towards trusting in God for salvation. At the heart of this, there's only two possible conclusions. There's a God above with a standard of judgment that we're all bound to, or life is meaningless. In the heart, we know that we matter. We know that it all matters. We know that there is meaning and purpose in some way, but we also know that the world is messed up. And Ecclesiastes seeks to convict us of the meaninglessness of our current existence if it's without God, and how there is meaning when it's found in him. So we have to make the decision to find our purpose, to find our meaning in God, to find what we're looking for in him, and to do it now, to not wait. So what about you? Are you ready for that? Direct your search for meaning, direct your search for purpose to the only one who can give you what you're looking for. And don't wait. Do it today. Today, now, is the time of salvation. Today, now, is the time for turning that pursuit to God and God alone to satisfy.